Warning, lick it up. Lick my boot.
Put on an easy call.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the As Seen on TV podcast for iZombie Season 3, Episode 5, Spanking the Zombie. I'm your host, Dom. With me, we have Nikki and Kim. How's it going?
Hi.
I mean, I am Dom. I'm the Dom of the podcast, right?
No.
It's not often that I break Nikki like that. No. So, Kim, what'd you think of this episode? I'm singling you out.
I know you are. Of course. This kind of episode, of course it's going to be pointed right at me.
Among other things.
Quite interesting. Wait, what?
What? The look on Nikki's face, she's like, I had something to say.
I still have something to say.
Mm-hmm.
Liv made it very clear that because of the brain being soaked in whatever it was soaked in, it was very potent. So I was expecting a lot more from Liv as a dominatrix, but it turned it around and it made her visions more frequent and more vivid.
Yeah.
It looked like she was orgasming a few times while she was sitting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's that's why. What was his name? Jimmy?
She was daydreaming.
The sketch artist Jimmy, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jimmy was
just so getting into that.
Yeah.
The moment where she stopped for 20 seconds and just stared at him probably really made him wet his pants.
I was gonna ask, is that the first time that we've seen Liv on the other side of the vision?
I think so.
Have we ever seen her?
Oh no, we have. Yeah, you're right. No, we haven't seen her.
Yeah.
Staring to
Because we always see her having the vision, but we never get to see what it looks like to everyone else while she's having it. And this episode, because the visions were so frequent, they had the time to stop and do this.
A couple times.
They were also longer. They were extended the visions. So she really was sitting there staring for 20 seconds, where all the other visions that we've seen her have or be a part of were only like a couple seconds, barely even noticeable to anybody.
Yeah.
So
I kind of was curious of the couple of visions we didn't get to see, though, because, yeah, she was making a face both times.
There was, like, at least 10 visions where we didn't get to see, and she got to describe these mystery men.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
Everyone's got their thing.
Apparently, and apparently everyone under the sun went to visit Roxanne Greer, a.k.a. Sweet Lady Payne.
Spoons.
Except for Clive, apparently.
Except for Clive.
Yeah. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for a vision with Clive, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna go bad."
I thought. Okay, so when they named her first, I thought. Okay, and Robbie gave a face. And we knew that it was gonna go dominatrix. I didn't realize the brain was gonna be a brain that he had stuck in the thing. But he gave a face, and I went, "Oh, Robbie, what are you not?" And then we saw I'm like, "Oh, damn it!"
Yeah, I thought he was involved with Sweet Lady Payne as well, just from his reaction. But we find out that he just stuck her in a jar.
Involved with her brain.
Yeah.
You know. But oh my God, Liv on this brain. This is probably the best brain Liv has ever been on. Talking to Clive, crawl over here, piggy, bring me my gloves. Clive's just like,
it was right off the bat too. I was all like, damn.
It was way too good.
Clive's reactions now that he knows that she's on these brains is comical because he's acting the same way, but he still knows. So, like, especially with what you just said, like where she's like, "Come here, piggy." He just kind of looked at her like, "Liv, you know who I am. Shut the fuck up."
Yeah, but then when he handed her the gloves anyways, she's all like, "Good boy."
Yeah. But can you imagine this episode if Clive didn't know she was a zombie and she started acting like this?
HR would be involved at this point, and she would be fired from her job permanently.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Jimmy would stick up for her. Is she single?
I don't think she would have gotten that far, especially with that first scene when they're investigating the crime scene. Clive would have been just like, no, this is not happening.
Yeah. But apparently she filmed all of her sessions, and Liv's first vision is the vision of the mayor of Seattle. So they're assuming that he found out the sessions were... yeah, he is a zombie. They assume that he found out that the sessions were recorded, so he took her out. But apparently the murder happened when he was at a campaign fundraiser, and, he had a bunch of donors and backers and everything that could verify he was there, so his story was clear.
Mm-hmm.
So Liv continues to work with Jimmy pretty much through the whole episode, and keeps having him draw. He has barbell nipple rings. We only draw from the head, like the neck up. Get the nipples in there. I want to see the nipple
Draw the
ring.
nipples, Jimmy.
Okay, so... Oh, Jesus, I'm going to be revealing something about myself right now. So the soup scene where she tells him he's only allowed to have 2 spoonfuls and only allowed to have the broth.
No noodles.
There's actually one of my favorite movies. It's called The Secretary.
Okay.
They actually have a scene where he tells her that she's only allowed to have, 2 peas and, a spoonful of potatoes. And all I can think of was that scene when I was like, oh.
I think I've actually seen that movie.
Awesome movie. Love it.
Is it a dominatrix movie?
Yes, it is.
Well, of course it would be. Yeah, that was probably a reference to that for sure. Because it seemed a little out of place to me. Not knowing that only 2, no noodle. I'm like, why?
It's completely about control. It's about controlling everything.
Yeah.
So I'm even controlling what you eat.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
No, I know. I just the scene itself stuck out as odd, but now that knowing it's in context of a movie, it makes more sense.
It's actually weird. There's, a lot of people who go to dominatrix, they do it for a self-health reason because they know that the dom will monitor every bit of their life, and some people go in weighing 300 pounds, and after all the sessions and everything, they walk out fit and lean and everything. And it's just because they have somebody telling them what not to do, what to do.
It's surprising that it's actually considered the whole slave and master combo or the dom. It's that it's actually in some cases healthy because it's healing.
Yep.
Especially with someone that's been abused or in the depression and other stuff. It's surprising that even being, spacked around a little bit is actually is healing in some aspects, which is it's strange. It's a strange concept.
It is very strange, but if it works for you, I guess you.
Well, it should be. I mean, I know at least I have been around in that the life. I had my old roommate was really into all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's all consent, written contracts. Mm-hmm. It's a big deal. They have strict rules.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like those walk through haunted houses where they could touch you. You got to sign all kinds of paperwork before you can go in there.
Some of them anyway.
Yeah. We also get to see the return of Anchorman Johnny Frost. Mm-hmm. We have Liv having flashbacks of him in a French maid outfit polishing silverware.
I thought that was hilarious.
I was like, no, I don't need to see this.
People are into the darnest things.
Yeah, and apparently his safe word was climate change.
Well, I mean, one of those words. Yeah,
it has to not fit with the situation at all.
I know, but leave it to a news anchorman who specializes in the weather to pick climate change as his safe word.
Yeah.
It can't be stop or anything. It can't be anything simple. It has to be something that's
because you're
so it
supposed
isn't
to say stop.
partaken.
You're supposed to say stop. Stop is supposed to be a word used often, and it's not supposed to actually stop. So
Exactly. So you have to use some weird word, some like draft. I don't know.
pumpernickel.
I was thinking of a word that you're gonna laugh. Yeah, that's why it was like draft.
But Johnny Frost is blackmailed into paying $10K, so the tape wasn't released, and we find out through his defense lawyer, who was also a client of Roxanne, that he's not willing to confirm or deny whether or not he was a client. But if he was, then maybe he would be able to identify this man, and he pulls up, the sketch or whatever that Liv had drawn. So it sends him in the right direction, because they realize there's a peeping Tom involved. So, between the help of Johnny Frost and the defense lawyer, they're able to set up a drop from I guess it was through email that Johnny Frost was continued to be blackmailed through. And we have this really awkward scene between Ravi and Liv in the park.
Where Ravi's trying to think of safe words so Liv can't do anything to him.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Clive, I totally pointed Clive out as the ice cream man. Totally pointed him out.
I totally missed it. I did miss it, yeah.
So when he popped out and he was the ice cream man, I'm like, oh man, I want ice cream.
But the guy James Weckler was the guy picking up the drop. He did it on a bike. He figured he'd get in, get out really fast. Nobody get him, and that's when Clive just rams the ice cream cart right in his path. And I was like, pretty smart there, Clive. Pretty smart.
Mm-hmm.
So they interrogate Mr. Weckler, and he totally admits it. He admits the whole thing.
He didn't exactly admit completely why.
No, he
just
didn't.
it was a weird interaction that I think for some reason I feel like it's going to come back up again.
Oh, for sure.
It was kind of like, it was because of the way that Liv said, well, you did it this way and this way and this way. It's like, yeah, sure, I did it.
Yeah.
But the way
that's how I did it.
Yeah, exactly. Not only did he might have done it, but it probably didn't go down that way. He probably was in love with her. Well, he was stalking her.
I feel like there's more to it. Like, he's hiding something. So when she accused him of, this is how you did it and why, he's like, yup, that's why. He's not so worried about taking the fall for it. He's worried about why. The whole I guess the why he killed her. That's what he's worried about. So but Liv playing bad cop. Oh my god.
We could have just turned the camera off, Liv.
Clive coming in and playing good cop for once, it's just like, is there anything I can get you? A glass of water, yeah, we can arrange that. Let's just sit down and talk for a little bit. And then Liv just comes in. I was like, oh god, Liv.
I mean, just the snap. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah. Absolutely crazy. We get to see a little bit more of the scratching post. We didn't get any of it last week, did we?
No.
Yeah, so Donnie's out, and he's patrolling, making some rounds or whatever he's doing, looking for potential clients, and he comes across a drug dealer who he asks about Utopium, how much it would cost him, and they get into this conversation of how the drug dealer, the U-boat, as they're calling it, is not as good, it's not as potent as the original. This is kind of like cheap manufactured one, since everybody that used to manufacture it was taken out by Mr.Boss, and
Yeah, lucky you.
all this stuff, and just so happens that Donnie's the one, that used to make it, so he's able to bring the utopium dealer back to the scratching post to hook him up with some of the good stuff, and has him
Turn into a
partying
zombie.
and asks him if he wants to be a zombie, and the guy's like, if this is what being a zombie's like, then yeah. So
No, it's definitely not. But um, Donnie's he feels so out of place there right now, especially with the big, tall,
yeah.
and strong. They're sitting there watching his every move. He's just like, oh, you could tell he's just regretting it. But
Mhm.
now that he has
He needed a
his,
buddy.
he has his buddy. Yeah, that whole scene where they're dancing on top of the freaking bar, I was like, is this what really high people on other things like strung out look like? Because I don't like this. I feel very uncomfortable just watching this
Yeah,
scene.
no, that's what
Them
they do.
dancing on the bar.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's
that's what they do.
Some drunk people do that too.
Yeah, but are they that like
I've
rigid?
never danced on a bar.
But like, I feel like drunk people would just be like flailing kind of. They were like straight on like rigid, looked like they were freaking like the Wicked Witch's monkeys dancing around a fire or something.
Yeah,
It was, yeah, I don't know.
but
Danced in the
apparently,
cage twice.
yeah, apparently the club is up and running now. They had a full house, all new clients and everything. So I think it's time to start stealing Blaine's
And it
clients. And
It wasn't even just Seattle locals. They had foreigners in there, so they're
Yeah.
looking worldwide.
yeah, and it makes me think now that
Well-
they specifically set it up 2 weeks ago, where they said, let us build our own clientele first. Then we will go and steal Blaine's customers.
Mhm.
2 weeks ago, Blaine took the cure. The memory cure. And we've seen no effects of that yet.
Oh,
But-
I know it.
The way that the memories worked is they slowly faded out. What's to say they're not slowly fading in?
Fading in, which is what I said before.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we talked about last week. Was that maybe he's been getting his memories back, and it's just not hitting him right away because
Yeah.
it wasn't a big bang.
So it's going to be now that Donnie is coming in for the clients, I think we're going to start seeing, Blaine having memory, or maybe it takes a certain event or something to trigger the memories, like amnesia. Some forms of amnesia, like you don't remember anything until you get the trigger, right? And I hate the word trigger now because it's been turned into like this whole
Oh
other
my
thing.
god, I
A whole
freaking
meme
know.
bullshit. It's
Stupid.
stupid.
It's been turned into something else, but trigger has been a word that's been around forever. Like it's just now it's only become something else. But like the original terminology for triggered, like that's the way amnesia works. Not all amnesia, but some amnesia will trigger in a like a certain memory, or like going to
A
a certain
smell?
place, or anything like that.
Well, that's what they do. A lot of they try to do with a lot of amnesia patients is to bring them around their everyday life or all their life, because they're hoping that something will remind them of things in their life.
Yeah.
Yep. I hope that's how it works with actually, like we've seen with Blaine. He's been around things that his old life was part of, but like I'm hoping for Major, it's a little bit different because of the way that how far gone he was before he actually took the cure.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely think Liv's going to be the key point. If that's how it works, it'll be Liv that brings him back.
Yeah.
Speaking of Major and Liv,
No.
Yeah. Well, we had Major off on this big military mission, and found out whatever they were doing, they were saving the heads of the enemies in a cooler, probably to harvest for brain tubes. But do you believe the way Major just leapt onto the roof like that? Thought he was
That
like
was
Spider-Man.
Like
Yeah.
parkour. Look,
It would- I don't know. He just kind of floated from the wall to the pipe back onto the wall. It's just like, what are you, a fucking fairy?
It's all those ninja movies.
It's gotta be.
any samurai, any of all my Korean dramas are the historical ones. That's how they do the kung fu. It's like martial arts.
How does it go?
They fly. They all fly. Martial arts, they fly.
Wait, what noise do they make while they're flying?
Woo!
I mean, if that's the case, I should have stuck to karate because then I might be flying right now.
Maybe, or you could go get some utopium and you might be flying too.
It's called harnesses. They use harnesses. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But Major was stabbed as he over-exaggerated 56 times, flesh wounds. So he wasn't doing too well. He started coughing up his lungs.
Fluid. Yeah.
He fluid in his lungs, yeah.
So he's brought to the police morgue where, he was requested to be brought. And they tell him he has to take the cure. But they have to wait a little bit because his wounds that he inflicted will actually kill him. They have to let them heal for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So Liv sticks a big old needle in his back, drains the fluid. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, fantastic. So Major's coming down to the point where he's got to take the cure now. Like, he knows he's got to take it. And we have heart to heart, him and Liv.
A cute little moment.
Yeah, he's
jokes.
I no matter what, Liv, I want you to remember what we meant to each other. I want you to try to remind me of that. I want a new name, one that's less silly. And I was like, Major is a pretty silly name. Like,
not Major Lillywhite.
Yeah, but like, is Major a name that people actually have? Like, I don't personally know anyone named Major. Like,
either do I, but I'm sure somebody out there is named Major.
Because it always seemed like a title, Corporal Major, like something like that. It never really seemed like a name to me. So I don't know if that was just a nickname that was given to him, or if this his actual name.
Even police. Like, when he was the Chaos Killer and the police were on to him, they called him Major Lillywhite.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
It's a Latin baby name.
Interesting.
It means greater.
Okay, it's not as silly when you know the meaning.
Yeah.
Jeez, Major.
Well, I think it's the whole name in context, Lillywhite on top of it, But he said the benefit to not remembering anything is you get to knock me off my feet again, which cues time for sex. Sexy time. Liv just starts stripping right on the bed.
I mean, she's still on the dominatrix brain, so she needed a little bit of a reprieve after being tortured to not do anything.
She tortured herself.
That's true.
She tortured herself the whole episode. And then that's when Ravi reveals, hey, the memory loss isn't going to be instant. It's going to be a slow fade over a few days. That's the way it happened with Blaine. And just as they go to inject him, the episode fades to black.
Yeah.
So, do you guys think they're going to inject him, or do you think something's going to happen before he gets stuck?
Maybe. I feel like they have to, because he just seems like he's going to die at this point, no matter if he doesn't get injected. So, unless he does ascend into a higher being, like I think me and Kim were talking about last episode. He becomes more than a zombie. He becomes more of not immortal, huh?
A werewolf.
No, you can't go from a zombie to a werewolf. There has to be some sort of genetic bullshit going on.
Maybe being a more powerful,
He's getting
undead
stuck with something.
Like a celestial or something.
Yeah, you know how when you play, say, Heroes of Might and Magic, and you play the Dark Ray, okay, maybe I'm more of a nerd than you are, but in Heroes of Might and Magic, you start off with a certain kind of group of a race, and you have tiers of minions, and zombies and skeletons are at the very bottom, but you can upgrade them to, say, to shambling zombies, and then, they turn into wraiths or like death walkers and things like that. So maybe he could ascend into something bigger instead of dying. Maybe that's the whole deal. Like, because he hasn't been starved to death and then died from lack of eating brains like all the other zombies. He's still very much coherent and a person.
Mm-hmm.
And then to die of natural causes as a zombie, I mean, it's not really supposed to work that way, is it?
I don't know.
Especially with this case when it's more of a science than a supernatural thing.
Yeah.
So the name soared in popularity between 2008 and 2013. Just shy of 1,000 babies a year.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay, I'm surprised I haven't run across a major yet.
Looks like it's like it was, and then it dropped down to a bunch like 1970 and went slowly up, and then it just skyrocketed.
Especially living where I live.
Looks like it's going back down again though.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think
zombie fans?
Do you think he's gonna get injected?
I hope he does.
Because if they were going to inject him, why not just do it before it faded to black? Like, I feel like something is going to interrupt it.
I felt like that too.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a great cliffhanger to, like, stick him in. Is he going to keep his memory? Is he not? But now it's like, is he going to get stuck or is he not? So.
Well, here's my thing is, his teammate now knows that they have the cure.
Yeah.
How is that going to affect... whatever the hell
Fillmore Graves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he gonna tell, or is he gonna be like, "Oh yeah,
I think he's gonna.
I'm with you, buddy."
I think he's gonna say something. I don't necessarily think it's gonna be like a malicious thing, but I definitely think he's gonna say something.
I mean, knowing that he was going to die, and the only way to save him was to give him the cure, and they're buddies, maybe he won't say anything. At least not right away.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not going to be like ooh, did you know that they have the cure? Like, it's going to be like, oh, yeah, Major almost died. Luckily they had the cure to save him. Or, it's going to be something like that. Like, it's not going to be a malicious thing.
It's just going to roll off his tongue, and then he's going to be like, oh, shit.
I don't even think he thinks it's, it's a bad thing to tell them. I don't think, I don't think it's like that. But
terrible thing to tell.
Well, yeah, we know that. I'm saying he doesn't think that. Because, I mean, we see what Fillmore Graves is capable of. This episode, like, they're interrogating the gun ranger suspect, Harley Johns, from last week. Or was it last week?
The week before.
The week before. And he tells him straight out that he's worried about the zombie virus spreading, and we're armed, and we're going to take the war to them. And they're like, who's this we? And he's like, we have people. There's a group of us, and I'm sitting there going, oh god, this is worse than I thought. And while he's in there spewing zombie hate, they wiretap his car radio, basically.
Well, they kind of drew him in because they said, well, we got all the information from what was happening in the basement, and we're worried too because some of our men were down there, one was infected, and we don't know about the other ones. And he's like, well, what are you going to do with them if they are? And they're like, well, we have to consider the situation. He's like, no, just kill them. So They totally lured him into that whole conversation, which gave them all the time to wiretap his car.
Yeah. Yep. And then he gets in the car and he makes a phone call and doesn't reveal any new information to them, but they do know that he knows that the Chaos Killer victims were all zombies, so they say we now have to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
So... don't forget that Blaine's father was one of those victims. So
yeah.
So is the mayor.
The mayor, Natalie, but she seems to be okay right now. She's
right
got
now.
her own protection detail.
Yep. So yeah, I think that's about it. You guys have anything else for this episode?
No, I think it was
like I said, I thought she was going to be more dominatrix than she was because of how potent she claimed the brain to be, but it really just enhanced her visions, which I was really, really interested to see because she almost seemed like she was getting annoyed with them at one point. Like she's like, I can't sleep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it sounded like she was constantly, then she
Mhm.
basically having more or less sex dreams.
Yeah, constant. That's just
So
too
even though
much.
it's not always about sex, it's still a feeling.
Yep.
Yep. Anyway, next episode is called Some Like It Hot Mess. It's a weird title.
Is that
is
is that grammatically correct?
No.
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 No. It's like
Yeah.
some
Okay.
like it hot, but instead of like they're saying hot mess.
Well, they're calling someone a hot mess.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
To help Clive solve the murder of an irresponsible narcissist, Liv consumes her brain and literally becomes a hot mess. Meanwhile, Peyton learns some shocking news, and finally, Ravi experiences a major setback.
Now, is this major involved? Major setback?
I'm assuming it's play on words. A major setback.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes the synopsis, they reveal way too much.
Peyton learning some shocking news, maybe Blaine's memories coming back. So
Yeah. Yeah.
It is possible. We will have to see. But I think that about wraps things up. Nikki, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at LadyVenom24, LadyYVENOM24.
Awesome. Kim, where can the people find you?
Also on Twitter at HUFFI. Oh, jeez. HUFFITY, PUFFITY.
You can find me down below at Phenomedom, PHENOMEDOM. And you can find us all and more on Facebook, Gmail, G+, Twitter, MySpace, and right here on YouTube. For some more podcasts for some of your favorite TV shows, games, and movies. Until next week, lick my boot.
Flying my shorts. Wee, wee.
Eh?
The noise. Wee,
Wee, wee.
She's flying.
wee.
Oh, okay.
Never mind.
I got it.
You only get 2 spoons of soup.
I like soup.
No
No
noodles.
noodles.